Welcome, everyone, to today's show. A Boomer and a Gen Xer walk into a bar, coming to you from the Rabbit Hole Studio, where you, as our listeners, will experience some wit and wisdom, some smartassery, and a mother and daughter questioning. Are we even related? My name is Jane Burt. My co-host is my daughter, Bobbi Joy. And for the next several minutes, we're going to talk about, guess what we're going to talk about today, Bobbi? Did I give you a topic today?
Well, you told me what it was, but you know, the weather's getting nice and summer's around the corner. So, what's the
Camping, RVing, camping, tenting, going all out and, getting away. And
the poor people's vacation.
That's You know what? It isn't poor people anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh, my goodness.
Glamping has taken the nation by storm.
Camping alone and the cost for fuel and the cost for the units.
Listen, she's already getting onto the glamping thing because she's talking about fuel and everything else. I'm talking about a sleeping bag and a one-person tent.
Oh, yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's not happening. So the reason I wanted to talk about camping is because whether you're staying at a resort or whether you're just staying at a campground or even, a state or a national park, there are some weird things that go on.
Or even your neighbor's backyard. They just don't know it yet.
Even your neighbor's backyard. So we live out in the country. I do anyway. And the house in Georgia is up in the mountains, and we have an acreage up there too. So we don't have neighbors like right on top of us or anything like that. And I would not like that at all. I wouldn't move back to the city unless I was forced to. Like when my girls think they're going to put me in a home or something like that, then
A home.
That's what I'll call it.
We call it the shed.
The shed.
The
yeah.
shed.
The she shed.
The she shed.
should have been nicer than a shed. She'd have been doing better if she would have just been nicer. So anyway, I know there's a lot of campers out there, a lot of people who go RVing, and some people just go in tents like you were talking about, and they rough it. They take mountain bikes, or they just go up there with their kids and they bring the bare necessities and they have a great time. That's not me.
Or they go dirt bikes, UTVs, things like that, and go in the desert for a few days.
Yeah, that's not me. I'll just tell you that right now. And then there's people who buy these little teardrop campers. Some of the older campers, like
the little streamlines.
The little streamline campers. Yeah. Those little teardrop campers are like almost $30,000.
Yeah, I actually, my dad's refurbishing an old streamliner teardrop type camper that maybe fits 2 people if you're lucky.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very expensive now. So they've definitely gotten a corner on the market as it relates to campers and RVs. And then there's people who have, the great big long fifth wheel. There's bumper poles.
There's people that have. She has one.
No, I don't have a fifth wheel.
Well, no, you have one of the great big long ones with the toe behind and the garage in the back.
Calm down.
Yeah.
So there's people who have the big fifth wheels. And I mean, they're very luxurious.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you've got
tour bus quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, super nice. And, they're running anywhere from $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 just for a fifth wheel. And we saw some really nice ones, didn't we, Dr. Domain, on the road? I mean, super nice.
Not the type that you'd see Cousin Eddie outside going, shitter's full, Clark.
Nope, not any of that business. No old Winnebagos or anything like that.
That makes me sad.
And, a lot of these, when you talk about glamping, I mean, you've got everything. This is like another home.
Yeah.
It's
like a 5-star hotel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even the fifth wheels have multiple bathrooms in them.
Yep.
And outdoor showers, outdoor kitchens. It's crazy what you can get in a fifth wheel. And then there's the motorhomes. And yes, we do have a 40-foot motorhome, and we do, it is a toy hauler also. And so we take motorcycles in the back, and then we do, we tow a car, and we do have e-bikes that we take with us.
I like how you're trying to like downplay all of this. Yeah.
So it's not like we're roughing it by any stretch of the imagination. I will say that. It is not uncomfortable to live in, for sure. But once you get to, I've always said what weird little birds we are, because on this earth, we find a little plot of land. And we say, stay off of it. This is ours. Do not trespass. I'm going to put a fence up around it, and I'm going to build my house, or I'm going to have a house there, and this is going to be just mine. And now it's gotten to the point where we take our house with us. So not only do we have our house, we have our house that we take with us.
I mean, that's honestly always been my dream, though, is not to have the house on the permanent plot of land. It's to be able to get in my house and drive it far, far away from the people I don't want to talk to right now.
You know, back when I was growing up, you would hear about people who would be living in a van down by the river.
Yep, Chris Farley.
Yeah, or
gonna be living in a van down by the river. Bless his heart. I miss him.
That almost made me choke. Or they would be living on the beach. You know, they would have their van up there and they'd be living on the beach, or they'd have a tent that, you know.
Yeah.
Or even their motorcycle with a tent attached to it.
Yep.
And we thought they were weirdos. Of course.
Homeless weirdos.
Yeah. Of course, in some respect, you know, did Ted Bundy live in a van?
Right.
I don't know. I don't know about
Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, he had his own nice apartment, but we're not talking about that.
How did that come up?
You started it.
So we used to think that those people were crazy.
Right.
And now it's like, wow.
It's the dream.
It's the dream of a lot of people to just get out from under what they've got, get out of debt, don't have to work so many hours. You know, who are you out to impress?
Right.
I mean, it used to be, you got to keep up with the Joneses. I don't even know who the Joneses are.
A lot of
anymore.
these campers are built to impress, though, as well. I mean, they've come into the realm of it. And, you know, when I was down in Florida, I went down to Florida for a few months and stayed down there with my now ex-husband. We actually lived on St. Petersburg Beach. I mean, we lived in the sand on the beach because the hotels were crappy. We didn't, you know, have a place to rent at the time, and we just drove down there and we stayed on the beach, and it was glorious.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that think, man, what a life that would be, you know, to actually do that. But, you know, if you're going to live out of a van, out of a tent, that really is kind of roughing it. Because it isn't, you don't have all the amenities that you have in your home, or that you would have in a motorhome or in a camper.
Well, but let's talk about that, because I think that it's not what it once was. So like when we had like the Mark 8 van, you know, we had the little TV in it, the little table, and the back, you know, folded down into a bed. That was luxurious back in the 80s. I mean, that was like high dollar. We were rolling.
Yeah.
You know?
They envied us.
They did. And now, you know, even with my SUV, I can plug in, you know, a small TV, have a wireless router. Okay, I have internet, I have TV, I have a gym membership to one of the largest gyms in the nation that has all of these locations where I can shower, work out, you know, things like that.
Wait. I'm trying to get past that. Workout? You're going to go.
This is hypothetical. Jesus,
okay.
Lord.
Okay, because you kind of.
I'm saying, you know, $20, $25 a month, you can get a gym membership to some place that has thousands of locations across the country. You got a place to shower. You got a place to, you know, have electricity, blow dry your hair, whatever, brush your teeth, things like that. And then, you know, what other amenities do you really need? You've got, you know, your TV, your radio, you've got the ability to travel. You can stop and wash your clothes. You have everything you need right there.
Okay, so let's talk about the costs associated outside of that. Because if you're boondocking.
Boondocking.
Yeah. If you're boondocking, which is not hooking up to anything.
Right.
That's what it's called, is boondocking.
Right.
And
Dry camping.
Dry camping.
Just translating.
Yeah. I just had to catch up.
And so if you're doing that, there's a lot of places you could find that you could pull into and probably stay for free. Not for any real length of time.
Right. But a night or 2 nights.
Yeah. But other than that, if you are a camper and you've decided, hey, I want to invest in a camper, first and foremost, know that they're very expensive.
Yes.
Secondly, they're not made like they used to be made.
No.
By any stretch of the imagination. They also have a lot of technical stuff in them.
Right.
You know.
Just like with the new cars.
Yeah. And the more you get on it, the more that can break down.
Right.
And we've found that with our motorhome. Because we have everything on that thing. And trust me, I think Dr. Domain has replaced everything.
Yeah. If it can break, it will.
And people say, you know, why do you take so many tools with you? If we could take a U-Haul with tools in the back, we would.
Well, you got the toy hauler. Just put a toolbox back there, strap it down.
It's full of other stuff. Yeah. We even have a washer dryer back there. So, you know, I mean, but when we talk about the costs associated with camping, it's almost appalling, because people are trying to take vacations whereby they can spend time with their kids now, right? And
okay.
Well, or just try to get
away from
just
the
try
kids.
to get away,
Yeah.
you know. And you can either take a big fancy vacation where you can fly somewhere, stay at a nice resort, go out of the country, whatever it is. You can go do that, or you can, go away for the weekends.
Yeah.
Or long weekends, or a holiday, or a vacation for the summer. And a lot of times it is much cheaper than taking, a European vacation by any stretch.
Right.
But I will tell you, the cost of a campsite anymore is getting crazy. Am I wrong, Dr.
Well,
Domain?
they take advantage. I mean, they use the same strategy that other recreational places do. That whole idea of surge pricing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like around Memorial Day, boop, it doubles or triples, and
the location of it.
Yeah.
Is it close to a national monument? Is it close to a theme
Right.
park?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
And
an
can
issue
you
with
even
that,
get
but-
in?
Yeah.
Can you even get in? Because most of them are not first come, first serve anymore.
Right.
And if they are, you're screwed unless you're a local where you can take your tent out there and put it up before you can get your camper out there. But otherwise, you're reserving on an online system.
Correct.
And you kind of get what you get, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you can pick your spot, but a lot of times you get what you get. And if you've never been there before,
You don't
it's
know
a
what you're
crapshoot.
getting. Yeah.
So just to give you an example, we went up to Wisconsin here.
Oh, I know this one. Yeah.
And
Dr. Domain sent the video.
oh my goodness. So we stayed at a KOA, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like KOAs. I do not like KOAs at all. Now, there's a lot of people out there who think that they have a lot to offer. They have the amenities. Most times the amenities are not up and running anyway.
Right.
But they're very expensive, and they cram them in there like you could almost roast your hot dog out your door on the neighbor's fire, right? That's how close you are. So they're very, very close. And of course, they're going to take advantage of the amount of space that they have and put every particular
Right.
type of slot in there and move everybody in and out. So we go up to Wisconsin. We're at a KOA. And we did not know this when we booked it, because we booked it online. And it was about, $135 a night, plus tax, plus fees, plus whatever. So you end up paying about $150 a night. Plus we're paying for fuel to get up there.
Right.
And we're taking a couple of days to get up there, right? And so we've spent the night somewhere else and whatever. And we get up there, and it's on a freaking train line. And it's not just, now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind trains. But this train was the loudest train I have ever heard in my life. And we were right across the road from it. And Dr. Domain did take a video of me, and he said, "Hey, Jane, what are you doing? You can't even hear my voice."
No, it's so loud.
Because it was so loud. You couldn't hear my voice on the video. And here we're paying $150. Now, here's how they describe it. You'll be lulled to sleep.
with chloroform.
With the sound of the tracks from the Northern Railway or whatever the heck it is. And they bury that in the description. It wasn't online, but they bury it into their Facebook description somewhere where you're being lulled to sleep. Lulled to sleep my ass. Okay? That sounded like an atomic bomb went off in the neighborhood, down, just down the road. Oh. And it was crazy. And we talked to them about it. We said, could you move us? No, we're full.
Of course.
Is there a discount for having to take this crappy space? No, that's against our policy.
Go be lulled to sleep.
Yeah, go be. It was so bad. We're stuck there for 4 nights. And I wasn't an asshole about it. I said, listen, is there something you can do to help us here?
What are they going to do? Stop the trains?
No. They could have moved us. She goes, no,
Jane's here. Jane's here. We got to stop the trains for the next 4 days.
Well, if you can do it, if you got that kind of pull, I'm just saying, if you got that kind of pull, do it. But I wasn't an asshole. I just said, hey, listen, could you move us? And they go, no, we're full.
Yeah.
And I said, is there a discount for being over here? And they go, no. And I said, I said, had we known this, we would have booked somewhere else. And I said, and it's Memorial Day weekend. And he looked at me and he goes, well, I can refund your money and you can go down the road. And I said, there's nowhere to go down the road.
And he knows that.
Everything is full.
And they know that.
And we're a state away.
Yeah.
What?
And they know that. And that's the surge pricing and things like that.
Listen, okay, it is what it is. And, we lived through it. And, but it was tough. I mean, it was really tough. Note to self. I will not do that again. I mean,
check the maps for railways nearby.
And don't even if they say you'll be lulled to sleep by the swaying of
like a hammer to the forehead.
Yeah.
Define lull. Okay.
So we get, so back to, kind of the little quirks and things like that. So you pull into your site and, everybody's got their own little space.
Right.
And now they're decorating it. And like they're going to live there for a long time.
Some of them might.
Some do. But some are
you think about our
sure.
campground that's in Grimes, that's hugely popular, Cuddy's.
Oh, yeah, but they live there.
They do.
Yeah.
They live there.
No, these are people that come in for the weekend.
That's like permanent parking, and they have homes, but they have permanent parking out at this campground year round.
So they come into these little itty spaces, and they're like right next to us, and I can almost hear them peeing. From my motorhome. And we got a Class A. We got a big unit, and I can hear them.
What?
Huh?
You heard them what?
Peeing.
Oh.
What'd you
European.
think I said?
European.
European.
So they're Russian?
And so you got these little bitty sites, okay? And how many times a day, Dr. Domain, did you get a text message from them telling you, don't do this, don't do this, do this?
Yeah, it was borderline harassment.
It was borderline harassment.
It was. They spammed me so hard.
And then they had a new section that was being built, and it wasn't done yet. And it wasn't fenced in or anything like that. So I take the dogs down and I turn the dogs loose because there's nobody down there.
Right.
My dogs stay with me. Get a text message. Please do not go down into the new area and keep your dogs on a leash. And I just want to go, screw you as hard as you possibly could. Okay. And half the stuff didn't work. And it was just annoying. And so here's everybody who pulls into their little spaces. And now and most times people are really, really nice.
Yeah.
But then you got the shit shows.
You got Uncle Eddie out there.
You got Uncle Eddie out there. And you're just watching.
Yeah.
And you're just,
that's part of the entertainment.
It is
Grab
kind
a
of part
beer,
of the
start your fire, and watch the neighbors.
And so somebody else is trying to back their unit in, and he's yelling at her, and she's going, "Can't you see me, you stupid son of a bitch?" And so he's
so
pulling
typical
in,
Saturday
pulling
night.
out,
Yeah.
5 times, and he's going, "Where the hell are you? I can't see shit." And they're screaming at each other, and you're right. That's part of the entertainment.
Yeah, it is.
But once you get there are little cliques.
Oh yeah,
there are little cliques.
Yep.
And whether it's in a resort or whether it's at a village or whether it's at a campground, there's some little things that people do that you kind of go, what the hell's that all about? Name one of them, Dr. Domain.
What's a pink loofah mean?
I don't remember, but...
Swingers? Oh, no, that's the pineapple upside down.
Yeah. So
No, it's a soft swap.
Soft swap.
Yeah, people who like to do it with others in the room.
Yeah.
This is a good time for a quiz, I think.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, yellow loofah.
Yellow loofah means they like to pee on each other.
Holy R. Kelly.
I know. Oh,
Well, it was yellow.
she's really
I'm
lowered the
thinking
bar of this
gold.
show. I can't help. It's just you and me now, Bobby.
Okay. Yep. You're out.
So, yellow mid-level swap for those who want to have fun but are still nervous.
These are all loofahs.
Someone's going to drop the soap.
Loofahs that they hang from their
you start
golf
with white.
cart
You start with white,
Which
and
is
that's-
normal.
which is beginner, and then purple is a voyeur and people who like to watch.
Okay.
And then it goes pink, and then blue is the lowest level of a full swap.
Okay.
Those who can play well with others. And then yellow is the mid-level swap. They're still nervous. Black is let's do it like they do.
All out.
Yeah.
P. Diddy party.
Yeah. Happy Diddy party. Yeah, it's a full. That's a good one.
That's when UPS shows up with all the baby oil.
Right. I only knew about the pineapples and the pink flamingos.
Well,
the pink
there's
flamingos.
more. So there's black. There's the full swap.
Okay.
Those who say, what the hell, let it all go
Yeah,
down.
I think we all know what full swap is.
And then
okay.
teal is like the top, and that is bisexual for those that want to increase their dating chances.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's always these little. So
That'd be a good opening line, right?
So there's always the sex cults. There's always going to be.
The pineapples and stuff.
did you know this? There's even people of color camping clubs.
I'm a color. Where's my club?
You'll get clubbed. No, there are. There's some for people of color.
Yeah.
There's some that are just obviously for like LGBTQ. There's
Okay.
camp clubs for that.
Yeah. So they feel safe.
Yeah.
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 Feel safe.
Well, amongst
I get along.
I don't care what
I mean,
you
you
do
don't
in your
want the
bedroom.
skinheads, next to the
There's
LGBTQs.
There's motorcycle.
Why do you bring up
club
motorcycle
groups?
clubs when I said skinheads?
Because that immediately made me think of your friends.
They're bald because they're old.
I know. Well,
Everyone's got their
Dr.
own club,
Domain
though,
is bald.
right?
What?
Everyone's got their own.
Yeah,
Everybody's got
there's
their
a
own
club
club.
for
Well,
everybody.
you got your alphabet soup and all that and everything.
Yeah.
I've got nothing against that. I've got nothing against
I don't-
transsexuals, but
Yeah.
they changed. So that's all I can.
Okay, dad jokes.
Doesn't work
Oh
anymore.
my gosh. So let's get back to, first of all, there's a lot of cliques. There's a lot of things that go on, camping. And there's a lot more to it. And people go, oh, it'd be so cool to go out and go camping. There is a lot to it. There's a lot of times that you'll pull into a campsite and you know that there's a bunch of people that are there together and you just did not fit in.
Well, that's what we did when we took that whole circle in the campground with the cousins.
Yep.
And we had just a huge party, and it was all of us in that entire circle was,
we had
was
about
our family.
10, we had about 10 campers there,
Yep,
and,
and
they
a
were all
couple
in one
tents,
circle,
and yeah.
we all just partied down, and it was cousins.
Yeah.
And so that's always fun, and but again, there is a lot to it, and I just think that people think that it's no big deal. Now, there's also different types of campsites, right? So we talked about
Everything from
dry camping,
basic to full service.
tent
Yeah.
to just electricity,
Yeah.
to electricity and water, to electricity, water, sewer, to electricity, water, sewer,
Community clubhouse, exercise room.
internet,
Yeah.
cable TV,
Yep.
all that business. And so, but you're paying for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're paying for that.
paying premium
Yeah,
for that.
absolutely.
See, now I would rather be dry camping myself. We did a lot, of dry camping when us kids were little.
We did.
in the Black Hills,
Yeah.
and honestly, those were some of my favorite family vacations. I hated Disneyland. I hated Disney World. The camping in the Black
Really?
Hills.
That
Oh
hurts
God,
me.
just throw me in the river at that point. But the camping in the Black Hills, I absolutely loved. And it's not just because Dad scared the shit out of my sister by pretending to be a bear. It was a lot more just raw, just nature and raw. Now, my kids, bless those kids. So I rented a cabin out at the lake. and nice cabin, sleeps 8, full kitchen, just air conditioning, everything. And we're right by the lake, everything's set up for us. Didn't even make it a night. These freaking kids, I rented it for 3 days and 2 nights. First night, can we go home? Can we go home?
Why?
I don't know, because they're not like me. I don't know. I don't know. You. 2 of them ended up going home, and the other 2 couldn't go home because they didn't get along with the other 2. And it was just like, the whole time I was just like, this was a disaster. I should have come out here by myself, rented this huge cabin by myself. Like, it was pointless.
See, you let the kids ruin your spot again. Ruin your spot.
I'm like, family, and we're going to be so loving and have so much fun. Stupid.
We have a good time camping for sure. And we have the motorhome. And so it's not like we're
right
inconvenienced in any way.
It was a cabin.
But you had a cabin.
Yeah.
You had a cabin, and you can go pretty much anywhere you want to go, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
As
We're
long
on
as
the
you
lake.
can afford
we
the
had
gas,
paddle
and as long
boats.
as you can get in.
We had kayaks. We had the beach to swim on. We had the concession stands.
But it is a lot of work.
But did you have Wi-Fi?
No.
There.
That was the
point.
That was the kiss of death right there.
Yep, you just
That
solved
was the
crime.
point. There was a TV that had antenna.
I totally agree
solved
with
the
you on that
crime.
one, but yeah,
Well,
they didn't have enough time to
didn't have
detox
Wi-Fi.
from
Nope.
the digital part.
No.
So just to go camping, some of the things that you have to do. First of all, you have to pack, right? And you not only have to pack your clothes, you have to pack towels, you have to pack soap, you have to pack dishes, you have to pack, I'm thinking food, you have
first
to pack,
aid, everything.
Everything.
You have to take your house and put it in your camper.
Right. And so for us, since we already have 2 houses, we now have a 3rd house.
Right.
Because everywhere we go, oh, where's that thing? And since we kept saying that, now we've got 3 of everything.
Yeah, towels, everything.
And so that works out for us. But let's say that you're going camping in a tent, or, you're taking a camper out and then your camper goes into a storage unit or it goes to a storage facility. You need to take that stuff out. Otherwise, mice get in there and
Well, with a
ruin
tent,
things.
you need a bedroll and a pillow and your go bag. Really, a couple hot dogs, some granola bars, water.
It's a little bit more than that. You got to have firewood. You got to have fire starters. You got to have matches.
Fire starters I could see, but firewood. If you're going tent camping, don't you think that you would?
You got to have water.
That's why I said water.
You got to have a pooper. You got to have toilet
paper.
paper.
Dig a hole.
Okay,
use a
you
leaf.
still got to have a toilet paper.
Use a leaf. Just not the 3-leaf ones.
So some things that
A pine cone. Get all the hard to reach
the pine
spots.
cone. There you go.
So some things that
Exfoliate
we've
it.
watched that have happened to people, besides backing into something, pulling out and hitting the side of something, taking out a limb off of a tree, taking out a wire, overhead wire, almost hitting your spouse. It's behind the thing while you're trying to back up.
Probably not accidentally.
We were parked next to a camper, and I remember Dr. Domain was somewhere else, and I think he was out on a motorcycle, and I saw water coming out of this camper next door. And I thought, wow, that's a lot of water coming out of there, And I had just walked in, and here he came on a motorcycle, and he pulled up and he goes, "What's going on over there?" And I said, "I don't know." And he runs over and he shuts their faucet off.
Yeah.
And just as he did that, the guy that owned the camper come pulling up. They had 2 dogs in there, and the dogs somehow had turned the water on and flooded the whole thing out. It was pouring out. It wasn't like coming out like a faucet. It was pouring out. So when we leave, I don't care if we even go just to Walmart, we shut our water off. And, because it's just one less thing that you have to worry about, right? And, some of the other things, we lock a lot of stuff up, but most people are pretty courteous and, aren't going to come over and steal your stuff. What are some other things, Dr. Domain, that we've kind of learned to have to do just to kind of survive?
I learned a lot of my lessons earlier, so you're the benefit of that.
Like?
So on a lot of the RVs, you've got an inlet to clean out the black tank.
Yes.
So I plug it in.
For those of you who are not
The
campers,
black tank is the
where all the poop is.
yeah,
The pooper.
the poop hopper thingy. Yeah, the tank with all the goodness. So
The shitter's full tank.
yeah, all the corn kernels. Let's continue. But anyway, so the hose goes in there.
The horse going there.
The whore goes in that black tank. over there.
So the hose goes in there and it cleans out the tank, and then you open up a valve. Well, I didn't have the valve open. I started cleaning the tank out. I thought, I'll open the valve in a moment. I left, walked around.
No.
Nate comes around. He's in the back because my son comes over and says, "Dad," and look, and off the side of the camper is just this waterfall of brownness coming out the vent pipe, because all those tanks have a vent pipe, and it filled the tank. And the toilet was shut, so it's sealed. It didn't come up through the toilet.
Thank God.
And it just found the path of least resistance. So it took the valve, went up. And so what it did was it created like
a waterfall.
You know, the hot chocolate fountain thing you see? When you go, it was like that. And it just kind of covered.
It was chunky chocolate?
Chunky, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's gross.
It was really
That
nasty.
would be terrible.
So yeah, don't do that. That's what I learned.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. That's probably not something.
Putting a pressure regulator on the water hose.
Yeah, that's a good
Otherwise,
point.
you're going to blow your pipes out. You know, a lot of it comes around the plumbing piece when you're camping. You know, emptying the black before you empty the gray and all that fun stuff.
Yeah. And so, you know, there's just, I guess, you know, I just wanted to kind of talk about it. We have a lot of friends who camp.
Right.
And, you know, we have a lot of friends who don't. And those who don't go, oh, that would be fun.
Oh, so much fun. It's
So
stress.
much fun. It's a lot of stress.
It is.
And it's a
Can
lot
be.
of work.
I mean, it can be
But-
real fun. You get to see some
absolutely.
great places and, you know, things like that. But if you aren't meticulous in the preparation and things like that of it, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're in a tent, now you have to buy ice, you have to keep your stuff cold, you know, you have to try to do that. But it is, I don't care what anybody says, it's a lot of work.
It
I
is.
don't care what you're in. So just think about that if, you know, you say, I want to go out and buy an RV.
Well, and my whole plan is, I mean, not
Rent one.
necessarily an RV, like it may be an old Winnebago, but, you know, I'm going to slap some solar panels on that thing and just leave. And, you know, as soon as I can afford to pay off my house and just go.
Yeah.
Just
I
go.
Get it. I get it.
I think there's something appealing about the minimalist, you know, like you
Yeah.
mentioned.
Yeah.
The dry
totally
camping.
agree.
I like that. You know, getting like a small teardrop or something like that.
Yeah.
Going out. See, I think the problem with owning what we own is we're limited.
Right.
You know, we can't just pull into any place. It's got to be a certain size. And so that kind of limits where we can go. And if you're small, you pretty much can go almost anywhere. Like,
Right.
I spent many years not paying for camping. Just go to the national forest out in Colorado.
Yeah.
You don't pay. You know, you find a place, you trail, and you just go park alongside or whatever. But it's not so easy now with the big
No.
units.
Yeah.
So,
and the
yeah.
big units, you have to remember something's always breaking.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's
More
brand
stuff.
new.
Yeah.
It's just one more thing to have to fix.
Yep.
And they're very costly. And you know, camping equipment or RV equipment is not cheap.
Right.
It's very expensive. So I think that's probably all we've got to talk about today. We've talked about the campsites. We've talked about
The different types of camping.
Yeah, and the different groups.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I think that actually is all the insanity that we have for today. We do appreciate you joining us here at the Rabbit Hole Studio. Be sure to follow us because we look forward to spending time with you each and every week. Please like us, and if you have positive feedback, or if there's a topic you would like us to talk about, or if you have constructive criticism, drop us a short email at boomerandgenxer@gmail.com. If you have hate mail, we're not interested. It can go flying in the black tank with the camper for all I care. So until next week, I'm Bobbi Joy.
And I'm Jane Burt.
And you're stuck with us.
Peace out.
Later.